That's the line. So I'm gonna get rid of this and mute this tab. It should be good. We're both on there. Okay, good.
Hmm.
All right, we're live, we're live, we're live. Hey everybody, welcome to the PMP study group channel. We're just doing some logistics here. Um, Waiting for our moderator to give us the go on our setup here. But today, we're glad you're here. And for those of you who are new, you should know that this channel is dedicated to helping others who want to start studying for their PMP exam and get their PMP certification. So my name is Fia, and I got my PMP certification back in 2024, April 2024, and I was with a lovely study group that helped
Hmm.
me through it, and we helped
Hmm.
each other through it. But today we have a special guest for you. His name is Corey Pettway, and he is our PMP Spotlight
Hmm.
for this particular episode. So, Corey, why don't you give the audience a quick preview about who
Yeah.
you are?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much, Fia. So, first of all, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for putting this on. This is a great team. I'm happy to say that I've come to know you and the other folks, Wendy and some of the other folks that we know from the PMP. So, I am a project manager at a small at an organization in Brooklyn, New York, and I am certified as a PMP, and I got that back in April 2024, and it's helped me a lot in my career. And I'm excited to share some of the experiences I've had and why it's important to me today.
Well, thank you, Corey. I'm glad
Mhm.
you were able to um, allow us to interview you because I know not everybody likes being put on the spot. But we got some questions for you.
Yeah,
Um, Tell
what you got?
us what you were into before project management.
Yeah, so
So,
yeah, go ahead.
was it a whole nother career that you were into,
Yeah.
or were you leading up to project management and it just kind of accidentally happened, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think of project management as kind of a mindset. I think I've always been kind of analytical and structured. I wanted things in order. I'm always about something coming about decently and orderly.
Okay.
Even when it comes to planning family events, it's you know who's going to be there, what time is it going to start. So my project management in the past has always been the W's, right? Who, what, when, where, why, and sometimes how. We have to answer all those questions. I taught that to my kids, when we have things. So that's a form of project management, and I've always gravitated toward that.
Mhm.
But you know what? One thing is, it was not formalized, and so at some point I wanted to be more formal with it, So
Okay.
that's how I kind of got into, like, how do I formalize my desire to make things orderly? So then I got into project management officially,
Okay. Okay. So
hmm
you always like structure. What
Yeah.
are some of your job titles before
Well,
project manager?
okay, so before that, I was an electrician.
Okay.
I
Okay.
worked as a union electrician. Then after that, I went on to be a building engineer,
Okay.
and I led small teams there. And I did that for quite a while. But the biggest project management I can say that I've embarked on was starting a business. I
Okay.
started a business,
Yeah.
ran that for about 12 years, and that's project management. Eat, sleep, and breathe that. As a
No
business
way.
owner, it's it never stops. But you got to get things in order if you want to make some money, right? So
Yes, because
yeah,
at first, when you're running the business, it's all you. I mean,
yeah,
unless you have a team, even if you
yeah,
have a small team, it's still you're doing the marketing, you're doing oof, the
yeah.
bookkeeping, the
And the people skills, right? So
yeah.
yeah, when you're going through PMP, you learn about soft skills. And I could
Mm-hmm.
tell you, I mean, I'm not doing the business anymore. I'm doing something different now. But I look back and I go, you know what? I really didn't know what I was doing. I was, just going by what I felt, what I thought, maybe some things that I read. But when things started to get formal and they start talking about soft skills,
Hmm.
that was totally different for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Eye opener. Yeah.
And you
So,
gotta have people skills as a project manager.
oh, you do. That's number one.
Can't get
Yeah.
away from that.
Yeah, because you're leading a team, or
Yeah,
teams.
right,
You
right,
you might be the leader of a leader of a leader, but ultimately, these are your teams, and they're looking up to you. And how is he going to respond?
right.
I said this to someone recently. I said, in leadership,
Yeah.
people tend to always um, remember what you said or how you handled yourself
Mm-hmm.
over the situation, right? So things could have went sour, but they go, "Oh yeah, I remember what Corey said. The way he handled us, the
Yeah,
way he dealt with us, the
yeah.
way he spoke to us,
The
and
energy.
that's
Mm,
all they remember, So you got to
right.
work on your soft skills, and I think that's why I like being like a formalized PMP approach was to get me to learn how to deal with people properly.
Yeah. So it sounds like it was just a natural progression then into project management. I mean, you
Yeah,
were an electrician and then you were leading other teams in other roles.
yeah.
So what would you say has been the most rewarding part of being in a project management role? Like the
Listen,
previous and also present.
I'm about winning. You know,
Mm,
I
mm,
like success, and
yes.
I like things to work. I like when people say, "Yeah, that was a good job, man. That worked. We did it."
Uh-huh.
I like the high fives. I like to get excited about it. And when you're doing a project like this, you got to put things together. You got to sit down with a team. You got to, if you're building a construction project, you got to work on the scope. You got to get the details of it. You're working with different professionals, external stakeholders, internal stakeholders. You're creating a communication plan. When you put all of those things together, you do your budget, and you want that thing to come out on time. You want to come in under budget. All of those things. When that happens, that's success. And at the end of that job, we're saving money. So I'm driven by success to answer your question. I just want that
Uh,
thing to work.
I love that because
Yeah.
a success is a journey. And
Mm,
the most rewarding part is what you're saying is that success is the end result, but that's what you're after. It's
yeah.
it being the most rewarding part of your job.
Yeah. Who wants
That's
to lose, right?
everybody's goal. Yeah,
Everybody wants to win.
absolutely. So what would you say on the flip side? Obviously, there's tons of challenges
Yeah. A number
with
of them.
project management. Not
Hmm.
every project is successful. Not every project is going to be on time, under budget, all
Oh
that
no.
stuff, right? So,
All of mine are. No, just no. Okay. All right. I've had a
no,
few that didn't come right.
and
Okay.
I get it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, don't we
Yeah.
wish all of our projects were like always successful?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I tend to think that, even if they're not always successful,
Hmm.
we learn, right? It's a learning
That's it.
process, right? You don't lose because
Hmm.
you're successful.
Right.
You learn how to do
Exactly.
better next time.
That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
what would you say is your biggest challenge? Since
Mm,
there's going to be a few mini
yeah.
projects or,
No,
projects that always go
so
well.
that's a great point. So I could tell you this. My biggest challenge is working with people who
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily understand the value of professional project management. So
Okay.
everyone, like I said earlier, everyone has their perspective on how a project should be run, right? Because we've done it
Yeah.
before. I
Right.
planned that party.
Yeah.
I had a construction project in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I work with my uncle. I work with
Yeah.
my brother. So everyone has, they have a perspective of what that looks like. But
Yeah.
when you're a professional project manager,
Uh-huh.
you have a particular way of how things should go. And it's not your idea alone, but because you've gone out with you've gotten the intense training that we get when we go to PMI Institute, let's say, and when we get a PMP certification. That's not just something we sat down and we just did on Google for a couple of hours.
Right.
We hustled, we
Oh yeah.
dug in, we researched, we got concepts in our head. So the biggest challenge to me is when I do a project, especially when I'm dealing with stakeholders, internal, external, even senior stakeholders. Well, they don't get it sometimes, and that's the challenge. But I'm subject to my stakeholders, right? So,
Right.
so stakeholder management is key now. I'm going to run a
Mhm.
project. I
Mhm.
got to learn how to deal with senior stakeholders, internal stakeholders, external stakeholders. I've got to learn how to manage them with communication and as well. So, yeah, my biggest challenge is the people.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So people skills and knowing how to multitask with multiple personalities and multiple styles of working. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
always say my projects will be 100% successful 100% of the time if it weren't for the people I have to work with.
You know, one of these days we might actually have AI doing all our
I listen, I don't think they can do it yet though. It could
no,
happen. It
but
could
a
happen.
good chunk of it, right?
Yeah, they could. But to your point though, uh, AI has been a great tool for us as
Hmm.
project managers. Without it, I don't know how successful. It saves us a lot of time. It's not, I don't think it's at a place where it replaces us, but
Right,
I
right.
know that's a subject for another time, but certainly that's
Yeah,
been a tool that's been very helpful to us.
right. And yeah, I'm big on I love AI, but
Hmm.
yeah, I don't think that it's going to be able to do everything we do.
Yeah, it's a tool,
Yeah,
like a
absolutely.
hammer. Yeah, it's a tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, tell us about why. So you had already been doing project management, before you got your PMP,
yeah,
and then even before your current position, you were doing some project management, of course.
yeah,
So then, why now did you choose in the last year, 2024, to get your PMP certification? Like anything
yeah.
in particular
Yeah,
did
that's
do that?
you're like reading. You're in my kitchen right now because there's a reason why. There's a reason why
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
So where I work for a nonprofit, and we do a considerable amount of capital improvements, and the numbers are pretty sizable. And I happen to be in the position as director of operations. And what I want to do is I want to do well at my job. I don't want to just shoot from the hip. I don't want to go from experiences that I've had or things that I read quick online.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what I'm doing, right?
Right.
And I want this job to come in under budget.
Yeah.
And the responsibilities on me are pretty sizable as well. I have a team of 24 people, and as you can imagine, these capital improvements from HVAC recommissioning projects to alteration construction internally here. So the money is big, and so I don't want to, I don't want to fool around to put it in layman terms. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to know what I'm doing. So that's why I said, you know what, I'm going to go in there and formally get trained to run projects as professionals do, so that I can call myself a project management professional. And it's
Yeah.
not just something I just made up. I learned that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. So you
yeah.
have the experience and the actual certification to say that you're
Hmm.
officially, yeah, I
Yeah,
love
and the
that.
certification comes with, some real academia.
Hmm.
This is
Hmm.
someone who got involved with a group of people who studied, who put their time into it when everyone else was partying, chilling on the weekends. We're at night studying and trying to figure this thing out. And yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Struggle was real, but we made it.
Yes, we
Um,
made it.
so how has getting your PMP impacted your current role? And I think you've kind of alluded to some of it
Hmm.
or just to this question. How has it impacted your current role in the big, like what's the biggest way that it's impacted your current role?
I'm going to say something. I'm a little embarrassed at this. It's not probably what you're thinking, but I love it when I get to the conference table and I start talking terms of a profession, right?
Right now.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so when we sit at the table, I go, they go, now who's responsible for that? And I pull out a chart and I pull out a RACI chart, right?
All
The RACI
right.
chart
Right.
says
Responsible.
responsible, accountable,
Uh-huh.
consulted and
Yep.
informed. That was
Yeah.
like total textbook stuff. And I
Yeah.
go, this is the person who's responsible for this. And I go, these are the stakeholders who are involved. And I start talking this language. But it's not just what I talk. When I put
Yeah.
this data to work and we start saving money,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, where did you learn that?
Yeah. Yeah.
PMP.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's what gets me going when I could really get people excited about the project and it's measurable. Like everything we do in project management is quantifiable. We
Yes.
can measure the things that we're doing because we are planning it. And when you plan it, you can
Mhm.
turn around and you could measure how well you've done,
Right. Right.
right? So
Absolutely.
that's what I love about this.
Yeah.
You can put it together, get together with your group. This is what we're looking to do, and come together and say, so how did we do?
Yeah.
What could
Yeah.
we have done better?
I love that. And the fact that you brought up the RACI chart,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, that leads me to like my next question, which is about teamwork and communication.
Hmm.
Um, I assume when you were in that meeting and you brought up the RACI chart, you were with leadership or you were with
Yes.
your own
Y-
team?
No, it was leadership. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of fun, you know, because
Okay.
I know why it's fun because I didn't do that before. It was just like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
who's
That's very
responsible for that? I think it's so and so, but I'm not sure. But now
right.
I know. I'm telling you, I got a sheet here that says this is what everyone's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
I imagine they were impressed with that.
Yeah.
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 It's a wonder, and that's a great way to educate
Hmm.
leadership. So you got to
Yeah.
educate up and down. So how do you what would you say is the biggest impact it's had on your current team, like the team you
Hmm.
manage? Having the
Well,
PMP, the communication style that you had before, maybe
hmm,
it's the same, but you
yeah.
tweak it a little bit based on what you learned with the PMP.
I think I'm stepping everyone else up too. I think it's disseminating down. I give you an example. One of my managers came to me just recently and said to me, you know, we had this problem because we were dealing with a problem. Uh, I'm the only one who deals with problems. I know you never have problems at work. Yeah, yeah,
I wish.
yeah. So things didn't go well, and you know, people were pointing fingers. You know, who's responsible,
Mhm.
and they said, hey, you know why we had this problem? And I love because I have a good communication with my managers, and they said, you know, you start having meetings with us. You used to have meetings with us every month,
Okay.
and because you stopped doing that, we stopped communicating. And so when I had finished my PMP, you know, that was like religious. Guys, we're meeting every month and I'm having individual manager meetings. And, you know, we're going to meet as a group and then we're going to individual meetings. Um, yeah, so my managers have said, you know, we have to meet more frequently. And so they're teaching me the stuff that I taught them back. So I love that. Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So then let's pivot over
Mm.
to the style of project management that you've been
Hmm.
using. So
Yeah.
talk to us about what methodology you were using before the PMP and then has it changed and why? Like, are
Hmm.
you using traditional, waterfall? Are you using agile? You
Yeah.
know, some of the different flavors that come with agile.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
all
Scrum.
these are fancy terms that we didn't.
Yeah. Thea, you know what's crazy? I never heard any of those terms before I started studying PMP.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you don't throw around those terms in construction, right? Because my background is pretty much construction as an electrician. I
Mhm.
worked on electrical construction, right? So here, you know, I learned that traditional construction projects are considered waterfall projects because you plan everything from the beginning. You get the architects, you get all of your scope, you develop them and everything, you hire all the contractors and you award all of the jobs and then you work at it, right? But here's what I found when I studied in PMP, what made me change my methodology. So to answer your question, I'm a hybrid, by the way. For the most part, that's the answer,
I
right?
love it. The best of
Yeah.
both worlds.
Yes, yes, yes. And so Agile, you know, we pick up a lot of things from Agile from software, right? That's pretty much how software developers That's their methodology. They're going to lean on that all the time because they can do things in iteration, right? They create something, then they make the MVP, the most viable product, and they release it to their customers. And now they're going to say, how did that go? How good is this? What are the problems? What are the challenges? Then they bring it back and improve that, and they keep improving on it, right? Well, you
Mhm.
can do that in construction too. So here's an example. We have this recommissioning project, which is a fancy term for HVAC rebuild, right? So
Okay.
a pretty old facility. We have millions of dollars of equipment, and they are like 25 years old. They're all at end of life.
Hmm.
But the building is huge. We have 180,000 square feet, five locations, and so we have to manage all of the equipment in that building. But
Wow.
you can't just go in and just renovate everything, take out the old equipment and put in new ones. Doesn't
Yeah.
work like that because you're still using
Yeah.
the building. So you have to do it in iterations. You have to do them in what they call phases in construction,
Mhm. Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So you work on building everything, designing everything. You work
Yeah.
with your engineers, but then you do them in parts. And
Mhm.
each part that you do is like software. Like I said earlier, you finish one unit, you go back to the team and you go, okay, what could we have done better? How can we do better on the next one? And you can keep
Right.
doing that, but each time you do it, you save money because you realize, oh, we didn't have to build that wall, or we didn't have to use this particular manufacturer. We could have used another one, or we
Yeah.
could have done it cheaper if we did this way. So you don't do that on waterfall. Waterfall is you plan everything in advance, and then what happens is you have what's called change orders, and that's where you lose a lot of money from an owner's perspective because you planned everything, so you can't go along and change it later without paying for it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's
Exactly.
why at this juncture. So how did I learn that?
Hmm.
PMP. So now I bring it to the table and I save my organization thousands upon thousands of dollars because
Yeah.
I bring in that kind of mentality, that project management methodology, to
Yeah.
your point.
So, okay, so you're officially using hybrid, which is a combination, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you also say that sounds like you're doing Scrum to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You doing the stand-ups every day or
No, so that's a great point. And when it comes to software, that works because you're working with a small
right,
team. But
right.
in construction, that's a little more challenging because you're not normally able to pull people out of their work environment and say, well,
Yeah,
what did you do yesterday? Or how, what are you doing
yeah.
today? Or what do you plan to do? Yeah. So they already have their plan. But you know, with PMP, what I've learned too,
Mm-hmm.
you can take things that are useful to you, and then there are some
Right.
things that are not.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
but you have the option when you're trained. You
yeah.
know it's there. You
Hmm.
have PMP, PMI, whose website as a PMP, you can go on. You have access to it. You remember. You can download a lot of information that you might not have learned before. You can use that so you're continuing to develop. So you can do a little bit here that you learn and choose not to. So I love that about having the information. I could use it when I want to.
Yeah, you can pick and choose what you need based on the project scenario.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you for clarifying that, because yeah, when you think about software programmers, or a team of software developers versus someone who's actually doing construction, you don't want to pull them off of some physical wall that they're building or whatever, right?
right, right,
To have a
right.
stand up. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I would also say this is, uh, sometimes when you're out on the job boards, and you look at different jobs that are out there, a
Hmm.
lot of the software companies are going to ask you for a PMP, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and I would say to someone who's like me, I'm not in software, I'm in facilities management, just operations, general operations. I would say to you, if you're listening to this and you really want to be a better manager, a better professional, organized, and save money for your organization, or is it your own business, I would really challenge you to dig into this PMP methodology for running projects. It could be anything from um, small projects to even larger projects, smaller teams. Uh, yeah, it's so versatile that I think that you know it could benefit anyone.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. So someone
Yeah.
who does not yet have their PMP,
Hmm.
let's say they're interested, what would you recommend? Someone who hasn't necessarily done a lot of project management, maybe they've done a little bit here and there,
Yeah.
um, and they want to get their PMP. What
Hmm.
do in the next 3 to 6 months just to get themselves, put themselves in alignment with that goal?
Yeah. So I'll give you a little hint, a little insight.
Hmm.
So people can go onto Google and get a project management certificate with Google. You
Right.
and I don't think you it's I know you can do it for free with Coursera
Uh-huh.
if you are now this is how I was able to do something else, but not exactly PMP, but something else. But I know they do this with management, project management. Now,
Okay.
let me be clear, it's not PMP, it's a very different thing, but
Hmm.
it's going to help you with understanding how to manage projects from a basic level. So Google has this, you can do it through Coursera. In my situation, state of New York offers you an opportunity through the Department of Labor to register for it, and you actually can do the course for free.
Oh,
Otherwise, it would cost you like 500 bucks or something like that. I'm not sure about the exact amount, but
okay.
I would say go into Google, take
Mhm.
one of their courses. It's like a 3-month course or something like that. You do it at your own time, but
Mhm.
you're going to learn a lot of the basics that you and I have learned as PMP professionals.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so start out with a free course. If you're saying you can get it free if you register, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to do it. I mean, if you
Yeah.
feel really excited about it, just go in, like, go to PMI, register on their site, you know, sign up and just go for it. But wait, let me just clear this up. You do need some experience.
Yeah.
You can't just go in and,
Yeah.
sign up and be a project manager. You know that.
Right. You have to have, so many months of project planning
Hmm.
and management. So if somebody does have experience
Yeah.
and they don't have their PMP,
Hmm.
what are some things that they could do to kind of speed up since they already have experience?
Hmm.
They want to get their PMP certification. Anything different that they should do?
I think, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about PMP, you
Mm-hmm.
should go for it. Why not you? Why do you have to look at other people and say, that's not for me? Listen, I don't think people's brains are as different as some people make them out to be, because we can all learn something.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you put your time in, you're going to get out what you put in. And I think it's true. I think we were made that way.
Mhm.
So I think, if you're thinking about this, you should go to PMI. You should, sign up, see where your qualifications are, fill in the application, and let's go. And when you're done with the application, once you get down with us with, PMI study group, PMP study group, and we could help you with that. We'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So
Hmm.
what's next for you, Corey?
What's
What you
next
got
for
going
me?
on after in the next 3 to 5 years? By the way, you can answer this in a second, but
Yeah.
I noticed on the PMI website that there is a I forget what the name of it is, but it's AI related.
Yeah.
Project managers who want to learn more about AI and you can actually get certified in that now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Like,
interesting. Very
oh,
interesting.
do I really want to go after another certification like that? But the
Yeah.
AI part got my attention. So tell us what's next for you.
What's next for me? So I can tell you that I've heard that for so many years. What are you doing in the next 5 years, 3 to 5 year plan?
Yeah.
And I've never hit any of them. Every time I every
Wow.
time I went into that 5 year thing, and I look back, no, I just never did. But you got to plan for something. You got to have some goals. Um, so for me, I'm going deeper into this. I've actually decided to go back to school and finished my bachelor's degree in business. And
Patience,
yeah,
lifelong learner.
thank you. Yes, yes, it's been quite rewarding. And after that, I plan to go and get my MBA
Okay.
and continue into
Beautiful.
maybe strategic management, risk management. I'm just really enjoying, the business side of things and just digging deeper, saving money, helping other people. So I kind of find my sweet spot in that. So I would say this time, this
Mm,
5-year projection is probably more accurate because I kind of have more of a passion for what I want to do.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's me in the next 5 years.
good deal. Well, thank you, Corey, so
Hmm.
much for sharing
Yeah.
your story with us and giving our audience advice
Yeah.
um, on how to get into operations management and just, yeah, I love the fact that you're able to share a real life story, um,
Yeah.
a real life scenario with our audience. So,
Yeah.
right, we're gonna wrap up. And
Hmm.
anything else you want to say to our audience before we sign
Well,
off for the day?
the last thing I'll say to everyone who's listening here is kind of to what I said before is, if you're looking at this is something that you really want to do, go for it. And, find a group of people who you can study with. And as you know, as I mentioned before, we have this amazing group here, PMP Study Group. You check it out, pmpstudygroup.com. And, if you get together with a small group after you've taken the, application, filled out the application, taken the exam, and I'm sorry, you know, uh,
Application.
taking the
Okay.
course, the
Oh yeah,
30-hour
the
course.
30 hours.
Yeah, and you're
35, I
serious,
forget which one.
35 hours, and you're serious about taking this, we want to help you with that. This
Mhm.
is something that we think we're really passionate about. As you can see today from our conversation, we're both passionate about being project management
Yes,
professionals, and we're not the only ones. There's so many of us here who want to help you. So hopefully you can see the value in that, and let's go. Let's make more project management professionals around the world.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thank you. Um,
yeah,
we're gonna shout out to Wendy, who is
yeah, Wendy.
in the comments and
Hmm.
chat area helping
Hmm.
us moderate today. So thank you,
Yes.
Wendy, for
Yeah,
your
Wendy,
support
thank
as
you.
well.
Hmm.
And yeah, if you want to join our next cohort, definitely, like Corey said, go to pmpstudygroup.com and we would love to work with you and support you in your PMP journey. All right, we're signing off. Bye, everybody. Thank you.